He started down the road, heading toward town and whatever might still be open. The lights on the road were far apart and there was no sidewalk, just a shallow dirt shoulder. Few cars passed him, but when they did, they loomed up from around corners or cresting hills, blinding him with headlights and rushing by with a force that sometimes threatened to knock him back. He had begun to notice himself edging over closer to the road as he walked, playing a half-hearted game of chicken. When he found himself too far out, he would always take deliberate steps back to the shoulder, and it was always with a secret sinking disappointment in himself that he would do so. As he approached town, lights pierced the darkness once again, and he shielded his eyes and took a step back from the road. This one slowed as it passed. Then it came to a sudden stop. John turned and walked a few steps toward as the driver's window rolled down. John, someone called. The car went into reverse and haphazardly pulled into the shoulder. John jumped out of its path. A woman stepped out and took a few quick steps toward him, as if he might try to hug him, but he stayed plenty where he was, his arms stiff at his sides, and she stopped a few feet away. John, it's me. Jessica said with a smile that quickly faded. What are you doing out here? She asked. She was wearing short sleeves and she rubbed her arms against the night air, glancing back and forth along the near deserted road. Well, I could ask you the same thing, he answered as though he had accused him of something. Jessica pointed over John's shoulder. Gas. He smiled abruptly at him, and he couldn't help but mirror her a little. He had almost forgotten his ability of hers to turn on cheerfully goodwill as a faucet, splashing it all over everyone. How have you been? She asked cautiously. Fine, working mostly. He just stared down at the dusty work clothes he hadn't bothered to change out of. What's new with you? He asked, suddenly aware of the absurdity of the conversation as cars passed nearby. I really have to be going. Have a good night. He turned and began to walk away without giving her a chance to speak. I miss seeing you around, Jessica called, and so does she. John paused, digging at the dirt with one foot. Listen, Jessica took a few quick steps to catch him up. Carlton's going to be in town for a couple of weeks. It's spring break. We're all going together. She waited exponentially, but he didn't respond. He's starting to show of his new contemplation persona. Jessica added brightly. When I talked to him on the phone last week, he was faking a Brooklyn accent to see if I noticed. She forced a giggle. John smiled faintly. Who else is going to be there? He asked, looking directly at her for the first time since she had got out of the car. Jessica's eyes narrowed. John, you have to talk to her sometime. Why is that? He said procrastinately and started walking again. John, wait. Behind him, John heard her break into a run. She caught up again, slowing a jog beside him, matching his pace. I could do this all day, she warned, but John didn't answer. You have to talk to her, Jessica repeated. He gave her a sharp look. Charlie's dead, he said harshly, the words rasping in his throat. It had been a long time since he spoke the words out. Jessica stopped in her tracks. He kept going. John, at least talk to me. He didn't answer. You're hurting her, she added. He stopped walking. Don't you understand what you're doing to her after what she went through? That's insane, John. I don't know what that night did to you, but I know what you did to Charlie, and you know what. I don't think anything hurt as badly as having you refuse to speak to her, to say she's dead. I saw her die. John stared down into the city lights. No, you didn't, Jessica said, then hesitated. Look, I'm worried about you. I'm just lost. John turned to her. After what I've been through, after what we've been through, that's not an unreasonable reaction. He waited a moment for her to respond, then looked away. I get it. I really do. I thought she was dead too. John opened his mouth to speak, but she pressed on. I thought she was dead until she turned up, alive. Jessica pulled at John's shoulder until he met her eyes again. I've seen her, Jessica said, her voice breaking. I've talked to her. It is her. And this, she looked over his shoulder and waved her hand over him as though casting a spell. This thing that you're doing, that's what's killing her. It's not her, John whispered. Okay, Jessica snapped. Excuse me. And turned on her heel. She walked back to the car and after a few moments pulled back out onto the road, then made a screeching U-turn. John stayed where he was. Jessica walked past him, then stopped abruptly, her brakes squealing, then backed up to where he stood. We're meeting at Clay's house on Saturday, she said tiredly. Please. He looked at her. She wasn't crying, but her eyes were shiny, her face red. He nodded. Maybe. Good enough for me. I'll see you there, Jessica said. Then she drove off without another word. The engine roaring into the quiet of the night. I said maybe, John muttered into the darkness.